You're listening to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. This is episode 108, where we talk about some current events going on right now in mid-May of 2020. We talk about some industry things, some political things, and try to get everything in between. As always, thanks for listening to Range Minded, and we hope you enjoy episode 108, the current events of May 2020. Hello and welcome to Range Minded from Independence Indoor Shooting. My name is Mark Long, and I am joined, as always, by...
by Steve Zimmerman. It is so good to be back on the show instead of dealing with anything else.
Yeah, it's funny because, well, you're out and about because you have to work as an essential person. I'm also working as an essential person. However, just a lot more busy than I thought I would be because I'm working from home.
Yeah, and it's kind of, well... For me, there's no adjustment. I still go to the job site and do whatever. But have you noticed if it's well, maybe it seems more busy because you're home, but does it seem like you're doing a larger workload?
I think everything is just a little more of a hassle because there's people who don't know how to use email. There's people who don't know how to communicate digitally. For the most part, it's been okay, but it just seems like everybody realized that they still have a job to do and things to do. And that,
sure,
it's one of those things where it's like the folks that I work with have to do their job in order for me to do mine.
Right.
And so a lot happened and it was like, okay, I guess I'm doing all this now.
Well, and the nice thing is with technology that you probably have a lot of the same tools available to you at home as you would in your day job.
Yeah.
But have you noticed that like you'll be doing a project and you're like, oh, dang it, I don't have it on this computer, or I need this widget to finish or whatever. Have you ever noticed that?
When I started, yeah, there was a lot of fine tuning to figure out. For folks who aren't in the sound world, you can't just have a microphone in a room and sound this good. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but there's a lot of processing and a lot of technology that goes into account and a lot of adjustments of that technology that you have to use in order to make yourself sound halfway decent and not sound like you're in an echoey bathroom or something like that, even though I'm in my office.
Right.
So the first couple of weeks took a little bit of an adjustment. It was very frustrating at times. Thankfully, I think I've got everything dialed in, so I haven't run into that yet, but I have definitely run into that in the past. So.
Yeah. And, that's kind of something like even with maybe a little inside baseball with the podcast is like, we didn't spend a lot of money on equipment. Luckily, where you have a background in radio, you can kind of tune in what we have. But like, honestly, you can really start a podcast with a couple $100 and some time on your hands and not sound bad. I don't know if we sound super great. I know there's other, podcasters out there that'll spend $400 on a boom mic and a nice big mixer and then just pay some monthly fee for editing equipment or whatever. And I don't think we don't sound too bad for just a couple guys winging it.
Yeah, just two guys hanging out. I think we sound okay. And you can spend hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars on a studio space and all the gear in the world and paying somebody to edit it for you, but we do it all ourselves and we try to sound as good as we can. And that's probably why the quality has not dipped down since the quarantine. It's probably stayed about the same.
Yeah, we're on the same level. Everybody else sounds like crap, but we sound the same.
Yeah, so they've stooped to our level.
And maybe that's like a little tagline for an ad for us or something. Hey, everybody else sounds like crap, but we still sound the same.
Exactly. So, but we're not talking about how to do a podcast today.
No, we are not.
That would make an interesting non-firearm related podcast, maybe episode at some point.
Yeah, I bet we could collaborate with some other podcasters.
Yeah, that could be fun.
And it might be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. But we are going to talk about some current events that are going on, some light news, some heavy news. We realized that there kind of a lot's happened in the last month or two, even with the quarantine and pandemic and everything.
And maybe that's why I struggled really like pinpointing stuff to talk about because there's the obvious to talk about. And I really don't want to talk about anything about the virus. Like I'm sick and tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, everybody's sick of it. I don't even really check the news anymore. I mean, it just because it's one thing after another. And There's conjecture
Well,
on every side and all an opinion. It's just like I'm gonna stay at home and just hang out.
and what's super annoying is it dominates not in just the news media, like everything, like sports, whatever. It's all dominated by this ridiculous virus, and
Yeah.
we got to think of. That's why we came up with this to deter and just talk about something else.
Yeah, there are still things going on in the gun world. So, yeah, we're just kind of try to do our best to update you on what's going on, and you can look up all the stuff that we're talking about. So,
Heck yeah.
well, why don't you lead us off, sir? Because you've got some gun industry news. I would say I kind of went more the politics policy route.
Did you?
A little bit, yeah. Just some interesting things to talk about. But you've got some industry news, some exciting things coming out, I think, right?
Yeah, like, and I know we talked about, or we had a new gun show in January, but I don't remember talking about this. This gun came out, or they introduces it at. Boy, I cannot talk. They introduced it at Media Day at SHOT Show this year, but I don't remember any rumbles about it. But Diamondback, and they may not make the most exciting guns in the world. Like, their guns aren't complete trash, but they're not like top tier guns either. But nonetheless, they came out with a 5.7, a little pistol, and
Really?
it's more of an AR platform. It's not a handgun per se, but it's more of the carbine pistol SBR look, and it's actually pretty dang cool. It's got a folding pistol brace on it. It's probably about the size, if you can imagine, like the SIG Copperhead. It's probably about that same footprint.
Sure.
But it runs on a 5.7.
Yeah, it looks looks kind of space agey a little bit. It's it's like definitely a PDW style firearm.
And I love this platform of gun. Like, I love that PDW feel.
Yeah.
It's small enough to pack around in a bag or whatever if you need to, but it's got enough punch, especially with that 5.7 cartridge. You got enough of energy to resolve a threat if you need, whether it be a two-legged threat or a four-legged threat. It's got plenty of power to take care of it.
Yeah.
And I just think it's freaking cool.
It is. It does look actually quite cool. And, I think, and maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I made a prediction that 5.7 was going to become a big thing as time has gone on. I think maybe when we talked about Ruger's 5.7 pistol, because
which I will be buying that very soon.
Oh, really?
I'm just going to say, yes, I'm going to put one or two in my collection soon.
Yeah, I've seen it hitting people's collections online and stuff. I haven't gotten a chance to actually hold one in my hands, but it does look very cool. And just because 5.7 is kind of that cool round, and it's got a lot of good qualities, and you can use it interchangeably with a PDW and a handgun. And
here's the thing: like, 5.7's been around. The cartridge itself has been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
But FN's had the market on it, right? It's just been the FN 5.7 or the oh my gosh, you just had a brain fart. Their little carbine. Holy cow!
Oh,
what's the one we have?
FN's P90.
The P90. Gosh, that's embarrassing.
That's
I forgot that. But then every once in a while, a new gun will trick it out here and there. I actually dropped something that a store manager that I know who has connections. Like, he's got some pretty in the know connections here and there.
Sure.
And I mentioned the same thing because we talked about this before, that I think there's going to be more 5.7 firearms coming out this year. I think with Ruger bringing their gun out, they kind of sparked the interest of not only the consumer but other manufacturers.
Sure.
And I think we're going to see another big name manufacturer bring out some kind of a carbine. Not just this little Diamondback, but I think we're gonna see one of the big boys come out with something in a small size carbine frame that might be a lot of fun.
Could be. Yeah, we'll see. And I think I'm hopeful at least that, because I think the big drawbacks of the 5.7 round is that it's kind of expensive relative to what else is out there,
Yeah, I hear that a lot, and some of it is very true. But you buy them in a box of 50, they're anywhere between 30 and $50 a box, honestly, for some of the FN stuff. But really, price per round, when you divide it up, it's not horrible. I mean, it is expensive, but
Yeah.
it's not horrible for that kind of cartridge.
Well, and for what you're getting, it's not that expensive. But what my point is that I'm hoping that with more manufacturers making 5.7 chambered firearms, that the price will come down a little bit, and you'll have actually more, options to get that ammo.
Yeah, and I, it seems like I remember hearing something about Aguila, but I could be wrong. Making the 5.7. I was just gonna do a quick search, but
It could be. It could be. But yeah, so that's definitely check out the Diamondback because it is pretty cool. And
it is very cool. And price point, that's kind of that's the other problem for the firearm itself. Right now, MSRP is at $12.99, so it'll be a little bit less than that by the time it gets around to the consumer. But it's kind of expensive. But honestly, in that platform, there's not a lot of options, anyways. So you'll get some buyers for it, and it might be super cool. Like I said, Diamondback, they make some okay guns. Like some of their small handguns are nice to carry, but they're kind of clunky. Some of their ARs I've messed with, they're all right. It's not something I would be consider like a duty rifle or anything. It's just something completely recreational. But I don't know. Maybe this little guy could be something different.
Yeah, I mean, and kudos to them for innovating and trying something different. And I think it looks pretty cool. So
yeah, I think it's a neat looking gun.
Yeah, I agree. And what is the MSRP? Did you say what it was?
Yeah, $12.99 as of right now.
That's a little pricey or whatever, but I think if you wanted to get something that was kind of unique and different, it's there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's neat. Like I said, I'm gonna end up coughing up some money for the Ruger. I'm gonna get one. I had a chance to shoot one. We talked about that a while ago, and I think it feels better than the FN. And it's a nice shooting gun, so I might as well have one in my safe, right?
Yeah, and I mean, and the price point for that isn't too bad. I think MSRP is about 800, and I think more.
No, it's I've seen them go for $600, $650.
No, I said, well, yeah,
but yeah, they're normally pulling around. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the MSRP is 800. I think the street price is more like 6-7.
Yeah, and to me, that's a nice Glock, right?
Yeah.
So you might as well. Why not?
Yeah, you're getting a lot for your money, and you're getting into a new a new cartridge or caliber if you don't have one yet, and to see how cool the 5.7 caliber is. So
yeah, and if you haven't shot anything in 5.7, you can go over to the store and you can rent the P90 in full auto. Well, it's a select fire, so you don't have to rent it in full auto if you don't want to, or if you know somebody that's got the 5.7 handgun or the Ruger 57, either one, they're all fun to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, even the P90 is just cool to hold because it's such a compact package, but you have that 50 round magazine up top, and it's like a wonder gun. It really is just to hold it, how cool it is. Cause you can fit that thing in a backpack or a suitcase or, next to your nightstand or whatever. And I mean, like you said, it'll handle 2- and 4-legged, predators of all kinds.
Yeah. And if you want to spend the money and the time and do an SBR, that short barrel is, man, that gun just points and turns like it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like an extension of your arm, really.
And it spits those little pills out so fast, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, I don't think, to shift gears real fast, I don't think you're going to be able to get one of those in Canada anytime soon.
Oh, good old Justin Trudeau.
because that was a thing that happened. It was a couple of weeks ago now where they Canada banned over 1,500 models of different firearms, basically an assault weapons ban, which is unfortunate, and it's unfortunate what happened in Canada. But what's interesting to me is I've read that the guy used a handgun. He didn't use any assault rifle or anything like that, or any kind of modern sporting rifle either.
Well, and from what it sounded like, they hid all that. Like, they did not talk about what he used. They just went straight to assault weapon and said, "Oh yeah, now that assault weapons are dangerous, we're just going to get rid of them." And you're right. He'd used a handgun that apparently he purchased legally. He was just a dude that had enough.
Yeah. It's a little crazy. Obviously it's terrible what happened. But the response was even more crazy, I think, if you're in the gun world. And
Yeah.
and I think what was interesting though too is that they're talking about a 2-year amnesty period to get rid of the firearms you don't want. They're working on a way to figure out proper compensation. So they're actually going to try to pay people. I mean, it probably won't be proper compensation if you think about it.
No, not in Canada, where they've already had to pay for licensing and go through the registration. And that's the thing with the registration, is they know exactly who has what.
Yeah. And that's kind of the scary thing. They're also working on a grandfathering kind of provision of guns, but that who knows if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah. And I remember, and maybe you're going to touch on this. I read somewhere, I was trying to look for the article again, but I can't remember where I was reading it. All the types of firearms he banned.
Yeah.
Like you think an assault weapons ban, oh yeah, they're talking about semi-autos with more than 10 rounds, but the list of firearms that they spelled out goes way beyond.
Well, that's
way beyond any kind of assault weapons.
That's
ban.
what I was going to bring up is, so I have, you can actually look online and you can find the actual, law that they passed and the regulations, and you can look online, like every single firearm listed like by name and by type is banned. Oddly enough, it starts with the firearms of the designs commonly known as the SG 550 and the SG 551 carbine. And then they go to list all the manufacturers and makers of those. Then it goes to M16, AR-10, AR-15. A lot of American companies on there, which I thought was kind of nice. Like Aero Precision, DPMS was on there, Armalite, BCM. I'm just going down the list as I read it here, but you can read the full list if you want. Maybe we'll post it to our Facebook page, because it is a lot. Like I got through there's probably 30 pages of AR-15, manufacturers. Yeah, exactly. Well,
I want to know who in Canada was running around with Japanese 20 millimeter anti-tank rifles.
Yeah, that's on there. That's on there too. A lot of FN stuff. A lot of the CZ Scorpion is on there. So
the A1 bazooka from the U.S. military. Like, honestly, like who's they wanted to cover everything. So maybe they just thought in America we're getting all sorts of this stuff and it's just making its way across the border.
Yeah, something like that. And everything AK related. They really went.
Of course,
they went hog wild on this stuff. Even stuff like the Ruger Mini 14, the VZ58, which they can get up there, which we can't get here. It's crazy.
So disappointing.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I guess, there is that silver lining of being grandfathered and everything like that. But at the same time, like it was one terrible event and one stroke of the pen, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know we've said it before, it's going to happen here. Like unless something drastically changes, especially with everybody so stressed out and the government being so crazy right now. We see a lot of rights just trickling away. I mean, it's not far from happening here unless we really do something about it.
Well, I do hope you're wrong, but you might not be. I don't know. It's to kind of dovetail into another point. The interesting thing, though, is that with all this uncertainty and with the the coronavirus and all that, I guess, a big response, I think we've talked about this before, is that a lot of people are buying guns. A lot.
Yeah. In fact, gun sales are up even more than last month.
Yeah. So, and March actually had the highest day for background checks ever. Like ever in one day.
So awesome.
March 20th, they did 210,308 background checks.
And those are the ones that don't have concealed weapons permits. Yeah,
I think I can't remember if it was adjusted or not. I'll have to put up the article that I found, but I mean, it was, 6 figures worth of background checks in one day. And the numbers.
I'm curious now. I'm gonna have to remember that day, and then I'm gonna jump on the computer at the shop and see and count how many actual firearms transactions happened. Yeah. Well, I could actually go through the whole month and then of March and just see, because that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot. And but in April, I mean, gun sales were up 70% in April compared to the year prior, and that includes different states that were supposed to have their gun shops closed down, but people are finding kind of loopholes or just straight up defying the orders and staying open for people.
Well, thankfully, the Department of Justice jumped in and said, hey, a lot of this stuff has to stay open. That's considered essential. You can't stomp on the rights, even though some governors have superseded that and done their own thing, which is really frustrating. But
yeah, well,
as of right now, it feels like the administration's kind of on our side in some ways.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. And then, I think a lot of local law enforcement are kind of letting that happen. One of the quotes I saw was that local law enforcement buys their equipment from these gun shops, so they kind of have to stay open.
Yeah, that's cool.
And like there were 5 states, I don't have it in front of me, but it was like states like New York, Washington, a couple other states, I think, that had to have were forced to have their firearms, stores closed. But yet they still did tens of thousands of background checks in the month of April.
That's good. They need to.
So kind of interesting there.
Yeah, that's great. And like I say, it to me, it feels like, and maybe it's just perception, but it seems like there's a lot of misinformation and a lot more social or civil unrest kind of percolating undertones, which I hope nothing happens. I hope there's not kind of some crazy civil unrest or, but it feels like it's completely plausible.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would take a specific set of circumstances to happen that would spark something like that. I know a lot of people are, at least from my experience, are bored and antsy and want things to open up and stuff. But I think it's a small minority of people who are taking to the streets and doing something and protesting, which, is their right, I suppose. So, but I don't know. Nobody really knows kind of what the pulse of the country is right now, Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to say because there's so much. Well, we talked about at the very beginning that COVID virus is dominating so much of the news that a lot of the real information just gets put aside.
Yeah. And, but what's interesting to me is that in a time of uncertainty, what do people do? I mean, they go out and buy guns. It's almost like a natural reaction to something where you think if you're feeling unsafe or feeling that you need to defend yourself and your property and your home and your family. I mean, it's just an automatic reaction almost.
Yeah. And that makes me think, like, I think why people are stockpiling ammunition, and I hate the word stockpiling because anybody can say, well, he had 1,000 rounds of 22. He was stockpiling ammunition. Well, you can buy 1,000 rounds at Walmart for $30. So it's not stockpiling, but I think some of the confusion and problem comes from even honestly from both sides of the political aisle, but um, not really kind of to shift gears, but not really to shift gears. So Michigan, that governor, she's like little Hitler over there. I don't know if you've followed any of that whatsoever.
Not admittedly not much. So you're gonna have to fill me in. I know there was a protest slated for yesterday, which is Thursday at the time of this recording.
And they already had some armed citizens, some pro civil rights citizens that's armed. So in Michigan, you can go in the state capitol with firearms, open carry. It is not against state law. It's completely legal.
Sure.
So I don't know. I have to pick up the other side of the story. That there was thousands, I imagine, of protesters at the Capitol, and the governor, she was freaking out. In fact, she called them, or she said that it's illegal for them to protest, and she tried to get a bunch of them arrested and do all sorts of stuff. She's shutting it down. Well, Hillary Clinton, this is what she had to say in a tweet. I don't know when this was tweeted. May 15th was when she tweeted this. Said, armed men storming a legislature to disrupt its democratic proceeding is domestic terror and cannot be tolerated.
Wow.
So she's calling these guys domestic terrorists. While not far in Michigan, there is actually domestic terrorism happening up in Dearborn, where you got actual training camps. Alleged training camps. I guess that's a better way to put it. Of stuff happening, yet those who are actually trying to be good citizens and standing up for their rights are ones being called terrorists.
That's pretty crazy, man.
And that's scary because there's a lot of folks that feel that way, and the media certainly feels that way, at least most of it, and makes me nervous.
Yeah, especially, I mean, when you have people kind of label people like that are just following the law, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, it's completely legal. It's illegal, or it's legal to protest, right? That's part of our First Amendment, is freedom to assemble. To go to the Michigan State Capitol armed, completely legal. So they were doing nothing wrong but to be targeted, and she even tried to get the police to arrest some of these folks, and I think some of them actually did get arrested under zero grounds. Like, there's nothing really that they did illegal.
Yeah. So were they arrested or were they detained?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to dig it up. There was so much misinformation. Honestly, from both sides, there's misinformation. So I got to do some digging on it to really get the full detail. But
sure,
that was just in passing. I read that tweet today, and I kind of got a little heated up.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts because, yeah, at this, you've seen, and I'm not going to say it's universal. It's all over the country where, some people are protesting with firearms and it's fine. So other places they're protesting with firearms and it's not. It really is. It's almost random, where I would say, because, any kind of, I think any kind of public protest with firearms, as long as you're, like the one, what was it, a couple months ago in Virginia? Remember that?
Oh, yeah, with Governor Northam, where they showed up at the Capitol building.
Yeah, and there were a couple thousand people, and they left it cleaner than when they had it, or than when they found it.
Yeah,
I mean that's
and we know the gun community, at least our little circle of friends in the gun community, and we have the exact same experience. We know what the real gun owner is like. Now, there are fringes out there that are ridiculous that I prefer not to associate with, and
sure,
and that take it to an extreme, because you can have extremes on both sides. And there's groups that are very vocal on social media that I do not like. But for the most part, the majority of gun owners are constitutionalists, they're conservationists, and they love their country. And it's super frustrating to be targeted and mocked, and then made into something that we're definitely not.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I mean, there's not much you can do about it other than just, leading by example. And we've talked about that several times. And it sucks because that's the only thing you can do. And even when you're trying to refute somebody else's claims, it's going to be tough to be able to do that and have somebody listen to you. especially when
And I think,
when you're already having the kind of the cards stacked against you.
and I think that's why it's so important to do your research. Like I said, like I could have just spilled out whatever AmmoLand or whatever had that article, but it might be leaned too far the wrong way, and there might be misinformation. And so it's important for all of us to, me included, right? I'm not above reproach either, but to do our homework and arm ourselves with the true facts. Like it's not hard to look up death statistics from the FBI and know exactly what's causing what. And it's fair to share those. And instead of getting into an argument, like we've said many, many times, have a conversation about it and then take somebody shooting and share the sport with them and be honest. Like I'm sure there's things that I could do better and should be paying attention to more than I am.
Yep.
But it's okay. We can all learn together and still keep our rights and live civilly. It's ridiculous.
And I think the big thing, like you said, I mean, is take people shooting and showing the side of the gun community that we know and that we appreciate and know how good, the gun community can be. And really changing people's hearts and minds with that, which actually leads me to another story that I found, which I think is fantastic. So with all these, new people buying firearms and becoming new gun owners, there are people now who are offering safety training online, like via Zoom. And there was specifically one guy in California who's a firearms instructor, and he's actually offering free classes to new firearms owners to walk them through how their firearms work. Specifically AR-15s, I think is what he's focusing on. But, he's meeting with people free of charge online to show them how to safely operate, store, and use a firearm, which I think is fantastic.
And that's great. And he probably gets paid to do some teaching. Right. I imagine he's probably taught somebody and got paid to do it. But how awesome is that for him to really forego for the sake of safety? Because like you say, there's so many new firearms owners out there you can have countless numbers of people on the Zoom meeting.
Right.
And he can go step by step and answer questions. That's fantastic.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's just the right thing to do,
Well, good on him. He deserves some donuts.
I would say so. So I thought that was just kind of a cool, a little bit lighter story that, people are stepping up and doing their part to be good stewards of the Second Amendment. So, and
it's not like it's kind of scared. We've talked about this before too. Like it's intimidating to talk to that family member or whatever, the friend, that's a little less gun friendly, to say, hey, you want to go shooting or whatever. Honestly, most of them are probably going to say yes. Yeah, okay, they'll be scared, but they still want to try it to see what the excitement's about. And it's the best way to get them involved is to get them behind a 22 or 9, something that's easy for them. Honestly, an AR-15, because they're so easy to shoot. Yeah. And it's the one that got the biggest stigma against it. So,
yeah, I actually was reading about an article, this was a couple days ago, about 38 Special and that caliber and helping people kind of get into things, and taking a full-size 357 revolver and shooting 38 Special out of it. It would be a great way to train people too, especially if, kind of just on the basic operation of firearms. I mean, one of the first guns I ever shot after a 22 pistol was a revolver. And, because that 357 is so, built to withstand the high pressure of that cartridge, and you put a 38 into it, it's like nothing,
Yeah. Or 1911 and 9mm. It's the same concept. They're just so timid and fun to shoot.
Yeah, exactly. So, I wanted to shout that guy out and say that that's the kind of thing that I think more people should be doing. And anybody could do that. Any gun owner could do that. Yeah. I was gonna say, if you have a friend that has a gun and, obviously got to socially distance and stuff now, but if you want to walk him through how it works or whatever, I mean, him or her for that matter, that's a great way to do it. And to walk through the 4 rules of firearm safety and all that kind of stuff. They're just because, you necessarily can't be there in person doesn't mean you can't walk them through how to safely operate a firearm. Exactly. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic.
So, but speaking of lighthearted stuff, you've got some more light news, right?
Well, it depends on which way we want to go. I was going to save this to the end, but it's lighthearted and it fits perfectly. And I think it's pretty dang cool. So if I haven't been to the Cody Museum, I need to get my butt over to the Cody Museum.
Sure.
Oddly enough, it's in Cody, Wyoming.
Not that far.
But it is the largest, from what I understand, it's the largest firearms related museum / exhibit, whatever, in the world. Probably they have stuff, amazing firearms, historical to cool, like just thousands and thousands of guns. Well, for gun enthusiasts,
there we go.
I cannot talk, of all ages, they've actually come up with a free printable coloring book that you can download off of their website. I didn't see it on their website. I was perusing around on their Facebook page, and they have some links to it. But yeah, you can just print off the pages and give them to the kiddos to color.
There you go. Yeah, if you just Google Cody Museum coloring book, because we didn't meet before this, you can find it right there, and right from centerofthewest.org. It's a coloring book featuring items from the Cody Firearms Museum. I might have to get this and do some.
It's
coloring.
Cool. I see some of the coloring pages on there, and
yeah, man,
it's just fun.
This is cool.
And a company that used to be in Boise, Kit Fox Design, I think they're actually in Michigan or Minnesota or somewhere now. She moved back east somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They do a coloring book as well, and I was trying to get them into the store, but theirs is far more detailed. Like, it's super cool. But
is it like schematics?
Everybody? Well, yes and no. Like, just her illustrations are amazing.
Yeah,
like her coloring illustrations. So, but these are cool too. Like these are still pretty in depth.
Well, and there's some history that goes with this too. You have the Colt Single Action Army, and they talk a little bit about that one. The Henry Lever Action Rifle. Some posters from Winchester. There's a box of ammunition on there. It's pretty cool, man.
It's super cool.
Yeah, especially if you've got kids who are maybe into firearms and they're a little bored and antsy and need something to do.
And I was trying to figure out where we might go this summer, and maybe it's going to be the Cody Museum of Firearms. My kids might not enjoy it. Well, my son and I will enjoy it. I don't know if the rest of them will.
Hey, but one is better than none.
That's right.
So,
and it's just getting out and about, right? Hopefully this thing breaks loose and we can all get back to normacy.
Right. Yeah, we'll have to kind of see. It still kind of taking it day by day, although thankfully Idaho seems to be opening up a little bit here and there. So that's a good thing. But we'll see. You've got to take it one day at a time for sure. So
little by little.
So do you have anything else?
I do. So you guys probably know that I pro staff for Right On Optics.
Yes, this is a big deal.
It is actually quite a big deal. So they just introduced this week their new pistol red dot. So they came out last year with the full size, the X3.
Yeah.
Well, this one now is the micro pistol red dot, and it's small. So if you guys think of, and maybe you remember the Shield, not the Shield handgun, but the Shield red dot.
Yeah.
It's made for micro carry handguns. This actually has the exact same bolt pattern and everything, so it'll bolt right to, so like your Springfield Hellcat.
Yeah.
It'll bolt right to the Hellcat. And there's some other firearms that'll run it too, but you can also get the conversion plates either way. So it's super small compact design, made for carry. It's got a 12-hour automatic shutoff. But what nice. I thought was cool, and I'm not sure if the Shield has it or not, but there's 10 different light settings, but the first 2 or 3, I'll have to look again. I think it's the first 2 settings are also night vision compatible.
Oh, wow.
So you got your micro carry. You can throw this little red dot on, and if you have night vision, you can rock it too. That runs on a CR123 battery, but it lasts like 50,000 hours.
Oh, wow.
On one of those batteries.
And what's the model name of it again?
It's the oh man, I just closed the window. It's the X3 MPRD.
Oh, okay, there we go.
So yeah, the MSRP at yeah, they're on their website for $299.
Yeah.
Uh, and it is super cool. I'm gonna be trying to finagle one of these here pretty soon. I actually don't have anything. I wouldn't mind taking the Glockster and having a milled slide put on there so I can see what it's like. But it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. And I mean, the price point to get something, to kind of get into, especially to get into red dots for the first time, definitely not a bad way to go.
And I really like Ride-On stuff. Like I don't get paid to do anything, and this has nothing to do with me like getting kudos for it. I legitimately like Ride-On optics because the few scopes that I bought from them before I had to deal with them as far as pro staff is I felt like I was getting quality at a very reasonable price. And they still have awesome warranties and stuff. I mean, it's veteran owned out of Arizona. It's a solid company.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about this little micro pistol red dot deal because I'm going to have to try one out.
Yeah, it's good glass. I've looked through it and seen it. It's great stuff, especially for the money, and definitely worth looking into, especially if you're getting into red dots of any kind, because Ride-On has more than just red dots too. I mean, they got binoculars and scopes and the full gamut of things.
Oh yeah, and some of the best rings now at affordable price points. They just teamed up with a company out of Germany. I think it's Corsica. I'm not even on their website, but they got some awesome rifle scope rings now that you're getting top quality again at a way easier price to deal with.
Right.
And it's just cool stuff.
Yeah, I definitely want to check out Ride-On Optics. Good stuff. And especially if, maybe even if you're just getting into optics beginning as a new shooter, because, obviously they don't include, quality optics with a firearm as soon as you get it. It's usually with iron sights or whatever.
Or the scope that you're buying if you're getting some kind of a combo kit. They're made in China and they're junk.
Yeah.
Like these optics, they have Japanese glass. I mean, they're getting quality stuff and just reducing the price point and just making it easier for all of us to shoot and see what we're shooting at, I should say.
Yeah, so it's definitely a good way to get into it. And even if you're experienced or whatever, if you need optics, definitely worth checking out. And that's I guess a positive thing too, is that despite all the pandemic and stuff like that, there's still innovation happening in the gun world. And, things are getting more affordable and more accessible to more people. Especially like with that night vision stuff. I feel like night vision is becoming more of a thing lately. Just kind of online and around people. I feel like the price point is coming down, and more people are getting into it,
Yeah. Yeah. And why not? Like we're at least in my experience, it's gone from handgun to rifle. Now long range stuff's getting real hot. Like it was sparking anyways, but it seems like more and more people want to reach out there at distance and just jump on their website and look. You can get good scopes for a good price. I mean, they have some expensive scopes too, but there's a scope for your price point in mind that you can get where you want to get to.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, make sure you do your research and check it out. But I think we can both safely, recommend Ride-On, which is cool. And it's just good to have more people getting into things and getting more optics and advancing the sport that way. So,
and I was just thinking about this too. Not optics related, but our good friend Nick over at Hoftac, I think he just came out with some new holsters. We're gonna need to get him involved. I think he's made some changes to some stuff.
Yeah, I think he did too. I saw a video on his Instagram the other day. I wasn't able to check it out properly, but it seemed like he was doing something. Yeah.
So other good news from local manufacturers. Yeah, jump to Hoftac Industries and check out Nick's new lineup. I think you'll be surprised, and he can make custom stuff too. He's been in the shop just pressing away.
Yeah, I mean talk about distancing. That guy's been distant all the time.
I like Nick. He's fun to be around.
Oh yeah, he's good people. So we'll have to have him on again and tell us about what's going on with him. He's becoming quite the regular nowadays.
Yeah. We like having him on. He's fun.
Yeah. So, well, unless you have anything else, I think that's all I got too.
I had another story, but I don't want to make people upset. I'd rather keep people upbeat and going. Like, for some reason, the last few days, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant, if that's okay.
Sure.
It's not even a rant, actually. This is positive. Like, I just can't help but thinking, man, I got to do something on my Facebook page. I just feel like there's somebody that listens to us on the show or follows us on Facebook or whatever that, might be really, really struggling with maybe some personal issues or whatever. I don't want to sound preachy, but man, life's about struggle, and that's how we grow. So we'll get through this together. We'll make it through this frustrating time, but don't give up or take some drastic way out. Like, we can get through it together. And if you guys need to talk or whatever, you can private message me on Facebook, like whatever. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I've needed to say that for this whole week.
Sure.
So it's like I say, life's meant to be difficult, but something good will always come out of hard times if we just make it through there. And I'm there for anybody that needs anything.
Sure. I think I could say the same for myself as well. So, everybody reacts to a massive change in different ways. And we all got to go through it our own way, and we will all come out on the other side, thankfully.
Yeah. And I know some people are taking it really hard. They might've lost their job or whatever. Right. And once that happens, you don't know how you're going to take care of anything. So
yeah,
there's help out there. And like I say, any way I can help out, I'm happy to.
Yeah, same here. So if you do want to get a hold of us, Facebook and Instagram at Range Minded Podcast, or you can email us as well, podcast@iishooting.com. We check it regularly, and we're happy to help you out. So, thanks for listening, and get a hold of us if for anything, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, guys. Be safe. Take somebody shooting with you.
Yeah, do it.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to Range Minded. Find us online at Range Minded Podcast on Facebook, or send us an email at podcast@iishooting.com. We're always happy to get feedback, episode suggestions, whatever you want to send us, really. And be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and pretty much wherever else you get your podcasts from. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.